So John chapter 14, verse 23. Father, we thank you for your word tonight. We thank you for the opportunity just to receive from you, Lord, to receive from the beauty, the power, the majestic grace of your word, Lord. Father, I just ask that this message would go forth freely, unhindered, unchecked by any outside force. Let this message just flow so freely, Lord. Let it all come together exactly as you have it planned. I thank you, Lord, that every one of our eyes are open, our ears are open, we have open minds, open hearts, and we will freely receive everything you have for us tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, so John chapter 14, verse 23. So John 14:23 says this. Jesus answered and said unto him, If a man love me, he will keep my words. That's our key right there, my words. If a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him. And we will come unto him and make our abode with him. Now there's so much in there. I'm going to be keying up tonight on my words. My words. Now I just have to make a quick comment because it's there. He says, and we will come unto him and make our abode with him. I want you guys to just stop and think about that for a brief moment. He says, we're going to come and we're making our abode with you. What does that mean? They're coming to live inside of you. They're coming to live with you. Right now, you are all abiding in our home. You're abiding here. That's what he's coming to do with you. He's coming to live with you. He has come to live in you and with you. Now watch this. What does that mean? Just think about right now, everywhere you go, everything you do, God is going there with you. God lives in your home. He not only lives in your heart, but he lives in your home. Okay? Let me put it this way. If God is living inside of your house, do you think he would ever have a struggle to pay for your house? Do you think he would ever have a challenge for meeting every need that house has? Do you think he would ever have a concern about what might happen or go on in that place? That's what he said he did. He said, if you love my words, my Father will love you, and we, meaning the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, we will come and make our abode with you. I mean, that you can't help but laugh. It is so powerful. With God living in your home, with God living inside of you, do you think he would have a struggle to pay your mortgage or your rent or your car note? I mean, whoa. Or anything, any need, any. I mean, just think about it. Okay, just think about Jesus for a moment. When he had his earthly ministry, did you ever one time hear him walking around begging people for money because they couldn't meet their needs? Think about it. They had money in their treasury. Judas was stealing from it, and nobody knew it. You see what I'm saying? And that was him here in the earthly ministry. How much more is even in heaven? Streets of gold. What? Streets of gold? The gate is made out of one single pearl. Every one of those gates. I mean, it's the most beautiful, precious stones covering every aspect of heaven. So that has nothing to do with tonight's message, but just an added bonus for you. So back to my words. He says, if a man love me, and he will keep my words, Jesus says, okay? Now this happened, I don't know, maybe a few months ago or something, a couple months or whatever it was. And, I get up every morning early to spend my morning time with the Lord. And, first thing I do is I come down and I make my cup of coffee. Make my coffee, then I go back and sit down and do my thing. So this particular morning, I do the same routine every day, okay? Make the coffee, put a little bit of milk in there, put a little bit of stevia, and then stir it up, okay? Now this particular morning, I'm stirring it, and coffee is just flying every which way. It's spilling all over. So I'm like, oh man, what's... So I clean it up. And I stir it a little more, and it starts spilling again. I'm going, what is going on here? And you're thinking, well, who cares? Okay, you're spilling coffee, Kyle, big deal. Yeah, but every day I do this thing, it never spills, okay? I know how to stir some coffee, you know what I mean? Okay, I put the spoon, I just stir it, and it's not a big deal. But I'm spilling this coffee, and the Lord speaks to me, and he says, what are you thinking about right now, Kyle? He said, you're thinking about my words right now, right? And I thought to myself, now what I was thinking about while I was doing that, because look, you're doing stuff, you're always thinking about something else, right? Your mind is always thinking. While I'm sitting there stirring my coffee, I was thinking about something that somebody had said to me about me. Okay? Now, it really wasn't even a negative thing that they said. I think it was even kind of intended to be like a nice thing. But it just was like, I don't know, one of those things, right? And I'm thinking about it. I don't know why, but I'm thinking about the thing. And because I was thinking about that person's words and not God's words about who I am, coffee just started spilling. Why? Because what we think about impacts everything that goes on around us. Okay? Now watch this. We talk a lot about Mark 11, 23 and 24. And he says, whatsoever things you desire when you pray, believe that you receive them. Okay? Now, earlier in that chapter, he's talking about the words that we speak. And he calls our words things. Now, what I'm saying to you is thoughts are things and words are things. Thoughts are things. They're not just some random thing that goes on in your head. Words are things. Thoughts are things. Every word is a thing. So what the Lord did was he then kind of took me on a journey and showed me a few different scriptures. But before I take you to some of the scriptures that he showed me, I want to tell you this. Words are two things, at least two things, okay? Number one, words are seeds, okay? Number two, words are carriers. Okay, words are carriers. Now let me explain. For example, this thing this person said to me, I don't even think it was really intended to be anything against me. I think it was really kind of a compliment. It was a nice thing. So the words itself seemed okay, but yet maybe they were carrying something else. Do you see what I'm saying? Maybe they were carrying something in those words. Okay? Now, I want you to think about it from this perspective. Every thought that you think, every word that you speak, it's both a seed and a carrier. It's both a seed and a carrier. Okay, again, this is stemming from the question last week of, well, how how do you receive that revelation of God's love for your life? How do you receive that revelation of loving yourself and receiving God's self-love so I can love myself? Well, this is how you do it. You understand that your thoughts and your words are seeds. Every thought that you think gets planted into your heart. But now here's the thing we have to understand, is that, yes, thoughts and words are things. But remember what Mark 11:24 says. He says, whatsoever things you desire when you pray. What I'm saying is the intensity of the desire, you could say the intensity of the emotion connected to the thought, the intensity of the emotion connected to the words. It's going to impact the result, or you could say the speediness, you could say the intensity with which those seeds and those words and those thoughts are planted in your heart. Just think about it. Let me give you an example. Let's say a person is battling the spirit of fear. And so they say, okay, I'm battling the spirit of fear, so I'm going to start to put the truth into my heart, to plant the truth to drive out that fear, the lie of fear, because it's not yours. It's not supposed to be there, right? So let's say the person I'm going to plant some seeds in my heart of 2 Timothy 1:7, for example. And the person starts using it, and you're going to quote it. Okay. For I have not been given a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. You say, okay, for I have not been given a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Okay? You're speaking it out. Now look, it's getting planted in your heart. But now compare that with, for I have not been given a spirit of fear, but of power, and of love, and of a sound mind. Yeah. You see that intensity with which you are speaking it, the intensity with which you are thinking those thoughts. It passes through your soul down into your spirit that much faster. Okay? Because you got to understand, it's got to go from your mouth, through your soul, down into your heart. You see what I mean? Depending on the intensity, depending on how many things may be clogging the soul up, will impact how that goes through. A little statement of, I've not been given the spirit of fear, I guess. I've been given power, I've been given some love, I guess I've been given sound mind. Okay, it's going to be a lot harder for that to get through than, for I've not been given, I have not been given the spirit of fear. Fear is not mine. No, sir. Come on. I've been given power. I've been given love. I've been given a sound mind. My mind is sound. I have clear thinking. I don't have doubt, I have faith. I don't have doubt, I have faith. And you start doing it with that intensity. And it starts to plant those seeds in greater abundance, in a more speedily way. Okay? But every thought that we think is a seed. Every thought that we think, it's a carrier. Okay? I want to show you this. I brought this out just to give you guys like a visual example, okay? Because we talked a few weeks back about Mark 4 and how the sower sows the word, my words, he says, into our hearts, right? Every thought that we think, every verse that we quote, every word that we speak, those are seeds getting planted into our hearts. Let's say, for example, you wake up in the morning. You wake up, you're like, oh, I'm so tired. Oh, there's a seed. You go, man, I got to get up and go to work. Oh, there's a seed. You see, you're already planting seeds in your heart the moment you're waking up. You haven't even said a thing, you're still laying in bed. But then how about you snap out of it, wait a minute. Oh, praise the Lord. Today's going to be a great day. Oh, there's a seed. And then you start, I'm going to make this a great day. Oh, there's a seed. And then you start saying, I'm going to do my confessions today. God loves me as much as he does Jesus. Oh, there's a seed. Come on. God loves me as much as he loves himself. Oh, there's a seed. And then you're going to go get in the shower. You bang your toe. Oh, man. Oh, this day. Oh, there's a seed. You see what I'm saying? But I'm saying everything that we're doing, we're planting seeds into our heart. Every thought that we think, every word that we speak, every word that we speak, every thought that we think, we're planting seeds. And just like when you kick your toe or whatever and you yell out or you'd say, oh man, this day is going to be terrible, the greater intensity with which you say it will be the degree that it gets planted into your heart. And that's why, man, when I do my confessions, do you know when I do my morning time and I spend my 4 or 5 hours in the morning with God, I do my confessions the very last thing that I do. My last 20 or 30 minutes are spent just on the confessions. Why? Because for the preceding 4.5 hours up to that, I've been reading the Word. I've been hearing from the Lord and writing down everything He's saying. I've been praying. I've been maybe spending a little time in worship, whatever I'm doing. But I'm saying, by that time, boy, I got a lot stirred up in my heart. And so when I get to those confessions, I'm not doing them like, well, the blessing of the Lord is upon me. He makes me rich and adds no sorrow with it. No, man, I'm fully loaded, baby. So I'm coming at thing. The blessing of the Lord makes me rich and He adds no sorrow with it. Wealth and riches shall be in my house, and my righteousness endures forever. And I just start laying into them. And I go through my 4 different confessions, or I have 4 different sheets, whatever. And I start going, and I'm just cruising through them. Why? Because now I'm full, and I got intensity behind what I'm saying. And I got intensity behind it. And that stuff's getting planted in my heart. See, remember, when we're speaking words out, there's 2 aspects to it, or even when you're thinking thoughts. There's the first aspect, which is, let's say, just going back to the example of you're fighting a spirit, you're fighting fear in your life. She starts quoting that scripture of 2 Timothy 1:7, for I've not been given the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. When you first start saying it, let me just be honest, it's probably not having a whole lot of effect. Okay? There's not a lot of power behind it. Why? You don't believe it. If you believe it, the fear wouldn't be there. All right? I mean, let's just be honest about it. Okay? So what you're doing is, you're not necessarily speaking it out into the atmosphere to impact things. You're speaking into your own heart to start to change what you believe. Because right now there's fear in your heart that you believe in more than you believe in faith. Do you see what I'm saying? There's more fear in there that's choking out the faith that's trying. The faith is still there. The faith is still there. But there's the fear that's muddying it up. Like I have my friend Pastor Barnett, he was just giving me this example the other day. He said it's like a refrigerator. Okay? Your faith is like the motor in the refrigerator. The motor's working. Okay, your faith is working, right? The motor's in there, it's working, it's keeping the food cold. But let's say you open up the door, you leave the door open. That's the example of fear. Okay? So now all of a sudden the milk is getting warm. But you're like, but I got faith! But I've got faith, why isn't it working? Well, we got the door open. You see? Your fear is leaving the fridge door wide open, so it's not keeping the milk cold. See? Yeah, your faith is working, but there's something that's just letting it blow right out the door. And it's not having an impact. And so what you got to do is close that door. You got to close that door by taking that truth and putting it into your heart so that, look, you got 20 years of fear or whatever it is, you start putting that word in there and it starts choking out that fear. And that faith that you don't have fear, that reality, that truth that you've not been given the spirit of fear, but that you have power and that you have love and that you have a sound mind, that starts to become more real to you. You start to believe that more than you believe in all the bad things that may or may not happen. I mean, guys, you ever think about it? When you get afraid about something, you're afraid of something that hasn't even happened. You're afraid of something that hasn't even happened. Why? How does that make any sense? Right? How does it make any sense? Look, I get it. If it already happened, well then, okay, sure. Oh, that just happened. Oh man, okay, well you can react to it. But why are you freaking out about something that hasn't even happened? Because really all fear is, it's just the opposite of faith. It's the same thing with faith. Instead of believing for something bad to happen, You're going to believe something anyways. Why not believe something good's going to happen? Because guess what? You say, God's going to do a miracle in my life today. Seed. Today's going to be a great day. Seed. I can't wait to see what God surprises me with today. Seed. You see what I'm saying? All those are seeds going into your heart. All those are seeds going into your heart. But you could choose the other side and say, man, I wonder what crazy thing is going to happen today. Well, there's a seed. You see what I'm saying? And the more you think those thoughts, the more those seeds are going in. They're going in. They're going in. They're going in. And the more you dwell on it, it's just like watering that seed. It's like watering that seed. Like, remember we talked about a few weeks back about when you plant the seed of the Word of God in your heart, you water it with thanksgiving. You thank the Lord in advance that what you prayed for is done. That it's done, that it's going to happen. It's the same with fear. You meditate and you dwell on that thing. And that's watering that seed, man. But we have that choice. That's the beauty of this whole thing. He has given us the choice of what we think, what we speak, and what we do. Deuteronomy 30:19, he says, hey, I've set before you this day life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, even says. As if he needs to, right? I mean, well, hello. Of course you want to rather choose life and blessing than death and cursing. But he even says, he says, therefore choose life that both you and your seed may live. So he's given us that power to choose what we think, what we say, the actions we take. Remember, actions are seeds too. Because you always act in accordance with what you believe. You always do. You always do. If you believe God's going to do a thing, then you just step out and follow through knowing he's going to do it. If you're a little bit afraid, then you take a different step that avoids that. Because you always act in accordance with what you believe. So every action is a seed, just like every thought and every word. Okay? Now, let me kind of go back and continue. Remember I said when you're speaking that word, at first you might not believe it, right? And so you're planting those seeds in your heart. But then you start believing that thing. You start putting that in there, and that starts taking hold. You're meditating on that scripture, you're meditating on what God said to you, and you're meditating that thing, and it's getting in your heart, and it's getting in your heart, and it's getting stronger, and it's getting stronger, and it's getting stronger. Well, now when you start to speak, now those words have power. Watch this. Let me show you this. Oh, the TV turned off on me. Give me 1 second here. I want to show you guys this. Because this is another thing the Lord took me to here was the word influence. Okay, so he said, look it up. Okay, so I looked up in the 1828 Webster's, and it's to influence, it means to flow in. Okay, it's literally a flowing in, into, or on, and referring to substances spiritual or too subtle to be visible. Think about that. Influences are substances that are spiritual or too subtle to be visible. For example, like inspiration. Influence denotes power whose operation is invisible and only known by its effects, or a power whose cause and operation are unseen. So influence, it's unseen, right? Someone speaks a word to you, you don't see those words visibly. Those words are invisible. But yet they carry great influence. Just like as I'm stirring my coffee, I'm thinking about those words, and that's making me mess all kind of stuff up. Why? Because those words had an influence. They impacted my life. And you say, oh, it's only coffee. But that's just a small piece of what those words were doing. Okay, now watch this. I show it to you like this. Okay, now Proverbs 18:21 says, life and death are in the power of the tongue. Okay, now watch this. And they that love it eat the fruit thereof. Why does it say? What does that have to do with anything? The fruit thereof. Why? Because words are seeds. Words are seeds, and they grow up and they produce fruit. They produce fruit, okay? But my second part is words are carriers now, right? So I want you to think about this. Okay, so we got two water balloons here. One is life, one is death. Think about this now. If I speak a word of life, that goes out into the atmosphere now. That word of life, this word is carrying within it either life or death. Okay, either life or death. Okay? Every word that I speak, it's carrying something. Not only into my heart, but out into the atmosphere. Let's just say this is a word of peace. Let's say, for example, we got 3 little kids. Guess what? It gets a little crazy in here sometimes. Okay? So guess what? I got to come in and calm it down once in a while. What do? I come in, I just start releasing words of peace into the atmosphere. Now, depending on the level of craziness, it might be one word of peace. It might have to be a few words of peace. You see what I'm saying? It might have to be a lot of words of peace. Or usually what I do is I speak words of joy, because you get the kids laughing, they're not fussing anymore. They're not, you know what I'm saying? But my point is, I'm speaking out words that are going out and they're carrying life. They're carrying peace. They're carrying joy. They're carrying love. They're carrying success. They're carrying prosperity. Because think about it. If I take this word of life and I throw it at you right now, that's going to hit you and splatter all over you, right? Yeah. Because everything that's in this word is going all over you. Just like the seed is going in you, and the influence of what it's carrying is going all over you. And on the flip side, those negative words. Someone speaks a negative word to you, you get that out of your mind instantly. Don't let that seed germinate. Don't let that seed take root. You get it out. You see what I'm saying? Because every word is carrying something. It's carrying life or it's carrying death. It's carrying love or it's carrying hate. It's carrying peace or it's carrying chaos. It's carrying prosperity or it's carrying poverty. It's carrying success or it's carrying failure. See, words don't just get implanted into our hearts, but they get released into the atmosphere. And the words, the thoughts that we think and the words that we speak are what determine and create the world around us. Just like when God created the earth, what does it say? And God said. And God said, back in Genesis 1. And God said, and God said, and God said. He was releasing it out of his mouth. But where did it first start? Did God just all of a sudden just start speaking random words and it just happened? No, he had to think about it first in his heart. He had to put together the blueprint for the entire earth and the heavens and all the planets and how it all was held together, and gravity and all these different things. He had to picture it first in his heart. Think about it. He had to think those thoughts. And then he spoke them out once they were released with faith. And it's the same with us. Once you get to the place where those words, you now believe them. Whew, now they're going out with power. Now they're going out with that influence. They're going out with that invisible, unseen power of influence. And so that's why I said, who's influencing you? Whose words are influencing you? Because that's what the Lord took me to. He took me to Joshua 1:8. Let's look at it real quick. The Lord said, he said, Kyle, look at Joshua 1:8. I said, okay. See, because Joshua 1:8, he says, this book of the law, or what is this? In other words, what is this book? It's a book of his words. He says, this book of the law, or in other words, my words, shall not depart out of your mouth, but you shall meditate therein day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written therein, for then you shall make your way prosperous, and then you shall have good success. When? When you've been meditating on his word, and you've been not letting it depart from your mouth. That word doesn't leave, that word, that's all that's in your mouth, nothing else. No words of negativity, none of these wrong seeds, negative seeds, failure seeds, all that kind of stuff. But his words, meditating on his words, speaking out his words. See, I'm standing over there making the coffee. I'm meditating on his word. I'm not spilling that coffee. I'm not starting my day off on a wrong, situation. Because whatever you're meditating on, whatever you're speaking on, that's what's created in your world. The problem is with most people, they do it for a little bit, and they don't really see much fruit from it, and so they just, I guess it doesn't work. Yeah, it just did. You just said it. It doesn't work, because that's what you believe. And that's the truth of it. See, the problem with me is I've been doing this so long, I just believe it. I just believe it. I had major stomach problems going on. I mean, I went to the ER 3 different times. I had all kind of stuff going on. I had to have colonoscopy. I had to have endoscopy. I had all kind of stuff going on, and doctors couldn't figure out anything. So I had no choice. Well, what am I going to do? I got to go to the Lord. And what did I do? I just simply put together a very simple statement that I confess to myself over and over and over 5-10 times a day, sometimes more, but always at least probably a good 5 times a day. Now here's the thing. It took me a couple years. I didn't have mine instantaneously. Why? Because it took me a while. I had a lot of fear about it. Let's just be honest. I had a lot of fear about the thing. So it took me some time. Now, for you, hey, you start doing it, you might see a result in a week or in a month or in a day. Just like Jesus, when Jesus spoke to that fig tree. Remember we talked about that a couple weeks ago? When Jesus spoke to that fig tree, he says, no man shall eat fruit of thee hereafter forever. Well, guess what? That was whatever day that was. And then the next, a few verses later says, and on the morrow, when they came back, meaning the next day, the tree was dried up from the roots. Why? Because he believed so strongly in his heart that the words that he spoke would come to pass. All it took was 24 hours. So my point is, you can believe so strongly that whatever your situation is, it can be handled in a matter of one day. And even in the case of the storm, that happened instantaneous. He said, peace, be still. And then it was still. See, but it's a matter of how much we believe it. And I think the problem is we get in this mentality of, well, but God does miracles. So God just do a miracle. And we put it on him. And he's like, guess what? I've already did the miracle. It's sitting at your doorstep. Just reach out and grab that thing, baby. You know what I'm saying? And that's all it is. But then that puts the onus on us. And we don't really like that. But the great part about it is that power is in your hands. That power is in your hands. That power is in your hands. You have the power to make your life whatever you would like it to be. Now, it's going to take faith, of course. It's going to take, first and foremost, it's going to take desire. You got to desire that thing, man. It's got to be, you got to really want that. That's why Mark 11:24, it says, whatsoever things you desire. He didn't say whatsoever things you wish for. He says whatsoever thing you desire. Man, desire is intense. Desire is intense. So So you have to desire it. But it takes persistence, just like we were listening to on that video. Okay? It takes persistence. Because a lot of times this stuff doesn't just happen overnight. Sometimes it does, praise God. Sometimes God just comes in and he intervenes in your situation, and it doesn't matter what you're doing wrong and how bad you're screwing up. He's saying, I mean, I'm just blessed. I'm going to find a way to get in there, and I'm breaking that thing open. See? But there's other times where we got to fight for that thing, man. And we got to push with that persistence. And we got to keep speaking that word. We're going to keep meditating on his words. We're going to keep the focus on him and the truth that he says, and not on the words of fear that someone else said, or the words of fear that came into our minds from the enemy, and all this negativity. But we focus on him and the truth, because there's power in the truth. And that power is what changes things when you speak it out. And when you think about it in your mind, you meditate it, and you meditate on it, and you think about it. Because the more you think about a thing, the more you believe it. I don't care what it is. The more you think about a thing, the more you believe it. And it becomes reality. Let me do one more scripture. Maybe a couple. But Jeremiah chapter 1. I just want to show you guys this real quick. Now, again, we're thinking about this from the perspective of your identity and who you are. You know, we were talking about that last week about God loves me. God loves me with his love and his self-love. His love is in me, his self-love is in me. And the more you meditate on that and not what someone else says about you, that's what becomes real. Okay? Now Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 4 says this. Then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before you came out of the womb, I sanctified you and ordained you as a prophet unto the nations. Watch this. He knew you before you were even in the belly of your mother. Before you even formed in the womb, he knew you. See, all those things we talked about last week and the week before about your identity, he knew who you were even back then before you were even born. Think about it. Even before the foundation of the world, he knew exactly who you were, exactly what you were going to do, exactly what he called you to do, who he called you to be. Then said I, Lord, behold, I cannot speak, for I am a child. Now what is God's response when he says, I cannot speak, I'm only a child? God says this, but the Lord said unto me, say not, I am a child. Say not. Why do you say that? He said, don't say that stupidity. Don't let those words of fear come out of your mouth. Don't let those words of failure come out of your mouth. He says, for you shall go to all that I send you, and whatever I command you, that you shall speak. Whatever I command you. Why? My words. He's talking about my words. My words that I give you, that will you speak. You don't speak those words of negativity. You don't speak those words of fear that come in. You don't speak those words of negativity that someone else might say about you or to you. What I say, you speak. Watch this. Verse 8. Be not afraid of their faces, for I am with you to deliver you, saith the Lord. Now this is my favorite part. Then the Lord put forth his hand and touched my mouth. And the Lord said unto me, behold, I have put my words in your mouth. He has put his words in your mouth. He put his words in your mouth. And that's one of my daily confessions that I confess over myself for this. And for every day. That he put his words in my mouth. I don't have to speak my words. I get to just speak his words. Because those words are full of life. They're full of success and peace and prosperity and love. He said, see, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out, to pull down, to destroy, to throw down, to build, and to plant. Now that's the power that your words have. Your words have the power to root out. Root out what? Root out that fear out of your heart, or whatever it is, right? To pull down strongholds, pull down whatever thing is trying to come against you to hold you back. To destroy whatever's trying to destroy you. To throw it down and to build up and to plant. That's what your words do. Your words do all of those things. And that's why he gave us an entire book full of his words. Because he says, I've got every answer for every problem that you're facing right here. There's no problem that you're up against that I've not already seen before the foundation of the world. And because of that, I put it right here in my word so you would have the answer. There's nothing you could ever face that he's not already given you the answer for. We just have to take the time to spend meditating on his word, seeking out those answers. I'm telling you, every day he's speaking to us way more than we're hearing him. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not saying we're not hearing him. I'm just saying there's so much more that he has for us. And all he's asking from you is to just believe it. He says, my sheep hear my voice, and a stranger they shall not follow. Why does he say that? My sheep hear my voice, and a stranger they will not follow? Why? Because he's telling you, you know my voice. If you just follow my voice, you'll never make a misstep. Don't bother with the voices of those strangers, because they don't know who you really are, but I do. I know what you're capable of. I know what your potential is. I know what I've called you to do. I know who I've called you to be. I know what I've put inside of you. So don't bother with any of those voices of the strangers. You just heed my word and the things that I say to you. And I'll take you to the heights that you never even knew existed. Praise the Lord. That's what I got. Amen. Amen. You want to hit that recording for me? Thanks. Before I